Once again, a further welcome to you all. It's fantastic to see so many people here gathered in this wonderful venue to celebrate and to recognise the start of the third BRC programme. So 10 years, looking forward to the years to come for 5 years with our funding. And it's my privilege, before hearing 3 presentations from some of our theme leaders, to illustrate the science and the work of the BRC in, I think, 3 complementary areas. I'd just like, if I may, to give you a little perspective on looking back at some of the things the BRC has done, reflecting on the comments we've just heard about the way it's changed our partnership in Oxford, and also giving a flavour of how I think the BRC hopes to work slightly differently in the next 5 years compared with the previous 5 years. So if we think about the requirements to support high-quality, world-leading international science, physical infrastructure is high on the list. And as we sit in this wonderful new building as part of the University of Oxford, we've come away from the hospital campus where we spend most of our time. But in fact, those of you who've been in Oxford for many years will recognise that there's been a very dramatic change in our physical infrastructure. These are our 4 hospital sites in Headington. Those hospitals have grown immeasurably over the last 10 years. We now have large, state-of-the-art hospitals serving the needs of the people of Oxfordshire through, in fact, 2 NHS trusts, and we should recognise that Oxford Health NHS Foundation Trust, we're also very pleased that they're represented here, and they're also going to be celebrating their BRC in mental health. But what's striking about the Oxford environment is that our NHS hospital campuses have acted as the magnet and the position through which the University of Oxford has expanded its many research institutes, many of which are integrated within the hospital buildings. Others are co-located on the hospital campuses, and they're complemented by basic science strengths in the centre of town university sites, which together generate an integrated NHS university and industry health science campus with more than 10,000 NHS staff on these sites, more than 5,000 researchers, and these are not small hospitals. Oxford is a city of 220,000, but there's 1 million patient episodes plus per year. So this is at the level of any of the large NHS university partnerships and indeed any of the large academic medical centres worldwide. You'll see some of the examples of the physical infrastructure and the buildings that have been so instrumental on the videos that will be playing in the foyer later on. But it's not just Oxford itself, even though the BRC is based in Oxford, hosted by the Oxford University Hospitals, partnering with the university. It's also about the Oxford region, and it's about the people and the patients who live in our Oxfordshire region and in the neighbouring areas. About 3.3 million people in the Oxfordshire and Thames Valley region, more than 500 medtech industries based here, making it the largest cluster in the UK. And we are able to work with some of our partners, including the Oxford Academic Health Science Network, to engage with people, with patients, and with other partner organisations across our region. But it's not just about the place and the people, it's about the nature of our partner organisations, the hospital and the university, working together in partnership, as we've heard. The BRC has been catalytic in changing the way we support and manage clinical research in a way that has enabled us to increase our activity, our impact, and our profile. And that is a testament to many of the people in the audience this evening who've worked hard to support and manage our necessary research infrastructure, whether in research governance and management, in estates, in HR or personnel, in our interactions with industry and other external partners. And it's the joint working of bodies between NHS and academic groups in estates and finance and these other crucial aspects that mean that we can deliver and accelerate our research process much more than we could 10 or 15 years ago. Fundamentally, that means we've been able to accelerate and to get more productivity and added value from our NIHR funding. Looking back, these are some of the, if you like, the BRC in numbers from the last 5 years. And I want to emphasise that these are not numbers relating to the University of Oxford or the Trust as a whole. These are specific activities related to the work of the BRC. more than 3,600 publications, £800 million of external research income leveraged on the BRC, more than 2,000 different research projects in which almost 5 million people and patients have participated, and a large number of interactions with industry. These are perhaps all the metrics you would have expected from a vibrant world-leading partnership that scored highly in the REF, has world-leading status for its medical school, and more recently, in the NHS hospital side, has reached high levels of clinical research performance by, for example, leading the League One of major NHS trusts in the 70-day target for clinical trial recruitment set by NIHR. But I think the BRC has also helped us to realise in our partnership some of those next level outputs, such as tangible benefits for NHS patients, and I think you'll see some of those illustrated very clearly this evening, in the number of patents that have been filed where there is direct NHS involvement in that intellectual property. And leading on from that, spin-out companies, from the large number coming from the University of Oxford, 9 in the last 5 years that again involve an equity stake for the National Health Service. Looking forward, our BRC remains focused on patients, people and patients, and on our partnerships. So the University Hospital Partnership is central to the BRC, but we want, through this cross-cutting theme that is fundamental to our new BRC, to ensure that we make the most of our partnerships for health, wealth, and innovation. And along the bottom, you can see some of the example areas: patient involvement, working with other aspects of the NIHR infrastructure, ensuring that we make NIHR funding work in our partnerships with industry for growth and for wealth. Around this central cross-cutting theme that underpins everything we do, we are also going to support key infrastructures to ensure that we can deliver on our experimental medicine, in omics technologies for molecular diagnostics, in clinical informatics to deal with the opportunities through big data, and to take advantage of Oxford's world-leading imaging capabilities. But the engines of the BRC, where the research is really generated, are the research themes. And in the coming 5 years, we have 16 research themes shown here. All of them are characterised and were critically reviewed in the run-up to the BRC competition bid for excellence, for track record, for expertise, and for research platforms. Many of them address the NIHR highlighted areas, obesity, respiratory medicine being 2 new themes included in this 5 years. But the themes themselves and the research infrastructure are not on their own adequate to drive the success that the BRC has seen in the last 5 years and looks forward to in the next. The BRC is about people. It's about identifying researchers exemplified by our outstanding theme leaders shown here. We're able to have 20 research themes in the Oxford BRC because we have 20 and more outstanding research leaders in all of the therapeutic areas represented by the themes. Their personal metrics give an illustration of their scientific standing and track record. But we want to ensure that these themes work as teams, and so in addition to the theme leaders who were part of the bid, each and every theme in the new BRC has a co-theme leader who gives us additional research leadership and brings further strengths to the research teams. There are other individuals who I'd like to recognise have made critical contributions to the BRC bid, and we've recognised some of these through BRC Principal Fellow Awards, a competitive designation for some of our leading researchers who've made enormous contributions to the BRC and have generated a great deal of scientific momentum that helped hugely in our successful bid. The 16 research themes and 4 cross-cutting themes address a large number of different research areas. But a key aspect of the new BRC is that we'll bring those individual research themes together to work in clusters of themes in order to amplify the critical research mass and to foster those crucial cross-disciplinary capabilities that have been so crucial in the previous outputs from the BRC. These 4 major clusters that you'll hear represented later on will enable the BRC to address the larger major healthcare challenges and take advantage of the corresponding opportunities in a way that 20 individual themes would find hard to do. And I think this is a really important point because research themes tend to be designated by traditional labels related to a disease taxonomy that doesn't fit with today's healthcare challenges in all areas. So, for example, in chronic diseases, we want to see how research areas such as stroke, diabetes, cardiovascular, obesity can work more closely together to address the common problems. In precision medicine, how we can use genomics and gene editing to address questions that aren't just in cancer, immunology, technology, and big data. We want to use these clusters to address the large healthcare challenges. Most of the work of the BRC is, in fact, about targeting our therapies more effectively by a better understanding of the biology of disease, how to make more precise diagnoses, and to make better use of the therapies that we already have, and to identify new therapies that can be used at the right time in the right patients. And so just briefly to finish, there are just 2 examples of how we expect the BRC to work in the coming years. For example, in the themes that are related more to experimental medicine and target discovery, we want to take advantage of Oxfordshire's amazing capabilities in basic science, represented not just within the university, but also across our region. For example, on the Harwell campus with the Diamond Light Source for structural biology, a national level resource. We want to work with those regional resources on our own campus to discover new targets, new molecules, and to develop those towards new treatments, working with the Target Discovery Institute and the SGC. But what does the BRC do? In partnership with the hospital, it enables us to conduct experimental medicine research, testing those new targets in patients with capabilities, as you'll hear, to develop new biologics, new vaccines, to undertake early phase trials in a number of different areas, to move into gene editing and gene therapy, to invest in cancer immunotherapy, and to test new molecules, working with local industrial partners, of whom we have many. So many of our BRC themes will be addressing the big questions around target discovery, new drugs, new molecules, and experimental medicine. But another large part of our BRC is about using new technologies that address informatics and new ways to manage chronic diseases based less on only a biological understanding of disease, but more an understanding of how to manage these chronic diseases using electronic and digital assets. So, for example, our hospital has now deployed a fully functional EPR and indeed has been recognised through national awards for BRC-funded programs such as the SEND project and for the blood transfusion tracking software. But within the hospital, we need to extend our use of data throughout our region, working with partners such as the Academic Health Science Network, who, working with the BRC, exemplified through the gestational diabetes program, and leveraging the gains that the university will bring to the BRC through its recent opening of the Big Data Institute on the Old Road campus. And that will enable many of the themes in the BRC to take advantage of the opportunities brought by digital health initiatives to address the questions of multimorbidity, to break down the boundaries in patient care between the hospital in tertiary care, between primary care, and indeed social care, to address the big challenges of how to deal with genomic data, microorganism tracking, and engineering innovations to improve workflows and outputs, both for doctors, patients, and people across our region, as exemplified by, for example, the spin-out company OxyHealth, that through BRC funding brought remote monitoring into patients' homes, not just for heart rate and blood pressure, but also for oxygen saturation monitoring using webcams. So together, we look forward in the next 5 years to build on the capabilities that are brought by this fantastic opportunity of another 5 years of NIHR funding to make step changes in the way we deliver translational research, from molecular understanding of disease through experimental medicine, all the way through to using technologies and data to better manage clinical care. I am finally grateful to all of you who are here this evening, from the senior leaders in our partner organisations to the leaders of our broader partners across our town and our region, to all of those of you who've worked so hard to make the BRC a fantastic success, and look forward very much to working with you further in the coming 5 years. Thank you.